Yeah, man, that intro, man. I need to really change that intro. That's like so like solemn and funny to me. Oh, did I lose you, bro? I think I lost Andrew here.
There we go.
Oh no, you're there. Okay, you were
I
frozen
lost
for
you
a
there
second.
for a second as well too.
Yep.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry,
nice.
Aether. Yeah, it looks like James is not able to make it for this one, but he actually did pre-record something that we're gonna be able to put out a little bit afterwards. So sorry, he's not gonna be able to join us for this live real quick. Because there's definitely some scheduling issues with us for tomorrow, and before the game and all that stuff. So we're just figuring that we should just do it now and get more people to see what our thoughts are before the game is, and because I know a lot of people are going to be getting ready. It's a morning game. It'll probably be best like this that we just do it a whole day before. So
Absolutely. And like I said, I think and we do have a video for James. We're going to release it. We were going to try and actually play it on the live stream, and Kyle's laptop broke, so we're just doing what we can right now. So
yep.
Good to go. Good to go. Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
You refroze
Kyle.
again. What's that? Uh-oh. We're freezing over here.
Yeah, you keep freezing on me as well. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
How are we looking on the other side there, Aether?
Yeah, we're probably struggling over here for sure, but
yeah, let's see. How are we looking, Aether?
Yeah, while people are trickling, and hopefully we can figure out this stuff before too long.
Yeah, are we
That's all good.
Okay. All right, I want to talk about the game, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot to talk about. This week is really going to be an interesting week. I know look, Aether, I could probably talk to you also about my softball game as well while people are trickling in as well too. But it's one of those things where we definitely need to really start thinking about this team and where it's going to go moving forward. I think this game is going to be more than huge because, look, I think the knives are out, right? So it's definitely going to really start seeing some progression in this team. So, all right. So, in right now, let me oh man.
Yeah, we're struggling here, boy.
Yeah, this is not going good. It keeps kicking me.
No.
I don't know what's going on here.
Oh. Yeah, me either. I know where I'm at right now. The internet is not super good, so I mean that could be probably the issue. Well, oh, here we go. Back in there.
Okay, is that better now?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Hey, maybe we should just start it over again.
No, well, well, hey, it's all live, man. That's what's part of the best things about being live.
That's the whole thing about live, I guess, huh? All right, well, this is good. Actually, it's so weird. I don't know. Wow, it's so crazy to me. Hey, I don't know why it's such an issue. All right, guys. So,
yeah,
let's discuss the Chargers, guys.
Yeah, let's talk about the Chargers. Yeah, but yeah, this is a huge game.
It's a big game
because, yeah, I mean, obviously, like something's gonna break here because, we need to have a good running game going on here. That's what I believe. So,
yeah, well, so let's look at some stats. Let's go through this real quick. And I know we got Aether on. Aether, get your questions ready to go. So let's go through the offense really fast, okay? Let's go to the Chargers offense, and then we'll go to the Texans offense. So by the way, Aether, what did you think of that video we did with Mark Lane on Wednesday? I really enjoyed. I thought he was awesome to chat with. What did you think, Kyle?
Yeah, no, he was super good to chat with. Like he was very down to earth about what the Texans are, and things like that,
Yeah.
and really enjoyed his conversation and his insight about the Texans, about how I could sense a lot of frustration coming from him
Yeah, for sure.
about the
For sure.
Texans as well, and we're right there with him too about our frustration because look, man, we had 8 of the top 100 players in the
8.
NFL on our
Yep.
team already, and we're 1 and 2. We should be we really thought we were gonna be at least 2-1 right now, maybe
Yep.
3-0 if we could have,
3-0. Yeah. Could have been 3-0 very easily. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing came together at all right now. But I have a lot of thoughts about that one still, though. So, but I don't know. What are your
Okay.
thoughts on it?
No, I think bottom line, look, it was really interesting. I was thinking a lot about this, and then we'll go into the stats on this, guys, and then as people are trickling in, obviously questions are going to start popping up. But I read a lot of articles this week. I really think Joe Lombardi has become extremely predictable. I've said that for weeks. He needs to change. This offense needs to change this week, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to save Austin Eckler, right? They're like, oh, let's just put Sony Michel out there. That pick that I think it was Chargers Weekly who talked about this. That pick that Sony Michel, it hit and then it went right to him and then they got that touchdown. That wouldn't happen if that's Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler he catches everything that's thrown at him. Right. And so I understand the concept of trying to save Austin Eckler, but at the end of the day, guys, we need some cohesiveness. We need our team to play together, and we're not playing together. And these injuries have become so timely. It's just been so bad. And we're going to give you guys an update right before the game as well on injuries and so on and so forth. But, sounds like Keenan Allen's out. J.C. Jackson's going to be playing, which is a good thing. I do think Parham is out as well. I do think Corey Linsley's going to play. Obviously, Herbert's playing. The one criticism I'm going to say right now, guys, is that they're really trying to bring Justin Herbert along slowly with his injury. And I understand it's a bad injury, but he's still got to practice. He's still got to throw balls. And he was not accurate last week. So that's my concern. And again, it's about gelling. If there is a bright spot, on paper, we should destroy this team. We should crush them. But guys, there's a lot of things we could talk about, right? That we're starting Jamari Salyer on the left side, right? He's going to be up against our number one pass rusher. Pipkins has not been great. I think Corey Linsley will be back, which would be good. But I really think they're going to focus on the run game. I think they're going to focus on some sweeps. I think they're going to do some trick plays. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. So offensively, I mean, what are your thoughts on offensively so far? And then we'll go through the stats on it, and then we'll go through the Texans stats.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I just feel like, Justin Herbert's really not been the same as he was last year, obviously. I mean,
for sure.
Even from the first game of the season, he didn't really seem super lights out like we expected him to be, I felt like, but obviously ever since his rib injury, like he's just not been able to, be as accurate, not being able to check down the ball a lot more. And I think that could be a Lombardi situation, but
yeah,
especially like the fact that we don't really have an established run game right now, that's really killing us entirely,
100%.
We have a good short pass game with our running backs and stuff, but we don't really, none of our stable of running backs has been actually very effective except for Xander Horvath.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has all of our rushing touchdowns in right now, pretty much. So
yeah, and it's really been an interesting situation. So let's go through the offense real quick. All right. Total yards per game, 356 for the Chargers. Points per game, 19.3. Passing yards, 297. It's really interesting to me. Even with a bad line, no matter what, we're still going to get our passing yards with Justin Herbert. We are. We're just going to get them. But rushing, we are dead last in the league. 59 yards a game rushing. Guys, that's horrible.
So bad.
And again, it goes back to what we were discussing. We are just being, like, the line isn't getting the push they need. I don't know that I'm going to expect a lot more, right? I mean, definitely, Corey Linsley being out, the anchor not playing great. Up and down the line, this line should be a lot better, and it's just not, which is really frustrating. So let's go see the Texans offense. 287 yards a game, which is kind of surprising to me. Points per game is 16. Now, I personally think we can hold them to 10 points this game. right? With our defense, I think we should hold
Right.
them to 10 points game. JC Jackson playing. I think
Yep.
Bill Mack will do well. I'm hoping Rupp has a good game. We're going to use Kyle Van Noy, obviously, for some stunts.
Yep.
Passing yards per game, 204. They're probably almost dead last in passing yards, but they're rushing the ball well. I suspect they're going to rush the ball as much as they possibly can against us this game. And I just think that's what they're going to do, right? They're going to make it an ugly game, try and keep it very low scoring. And that's where our defense is going to have to step up, right? So that's my prediction. And you're right, Aether. I think if we don't get 27 to 30 points, I would really consider that a loss. I mean, yes, we could win ugly, but that's not good. We've got to make a statement in this game for sure, guys. And so that's kind of how I'm seeing it right now. What are your thoughts there, Kyle, on the offense on both sides of the ball at this point?
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely think that any team can try to run on us any time, any week, whatever, and they will do well. Because I really do feel like Staley's defense is largely set up to protect against the pass. Because right now we're in a pass first league and pass second as well, So like most of the time, like they're just gonna pass the ball, and I really feel like his schemes are all set up to protect against passing as opposed to running so much. And that's why what we saw last year too, like, the same situation happened. Every team was running against us all the time. But I think that's also a good thing for us, the Chargers. We need to actually establish that as well, because when you look at the Texans defense, they give up 200 yards and rushing per game so far after 3 weeks. So this is the time that freaking Eckler has to eat, like I want to see 3 touchdowns from Eckler this game, not only because he's on my fantasy league, but also because
right.
But also because I want to see him actually, get that confidence back, that swagger that he had from last year. I want to see the Rock Man in the end zone.
Yeah, and if you watch my video this week about the coaching issues, I don't think the coaching issues really are against Brandon Staley specifically. I think it's more that, unfortunately, they're not making Austin Eckler work, right? I know he wants to get himself going, but they keep doing this running back committee, and I understand you want to keep Austin Eckler ready for the playoffs, but we got to get to the playoffs first, guys, right? We sit here all day and act, we're going to make the playoffs. Well, not the way we're going right now. We're not running the ball well. When you're one-dimensional, that's when picks start happening, especially with Justin Herbert. And he's going to take shots. Guys, we don't want him taking shots. I mean, that hit with Tua freaked me out. I don't know if you guys all saw that hit. His career might be done. He might be done.
At least for this year. I don't think he's going to be done. I mean, because
I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know if you saw my Instagram reel too, where I was talking about that. Look, last week,
I missed it. Okay. Last week he had another one, right?
Yeah, last week he had that one. He had wobble legs when he got up and everything, and then they still cleared him to play, continued playing, number one, and then cleared play this week. Clearly what happened this week was an absolute indication that was a serious trauma last week, that he should not have been playing. So it was terrible.
Oh my gosh, and it's scary, right? So I'm going to talk about offense for just one more thought here, and then we're going to go to the defense, okay? So, and guys, throw your questions out. What do you want to see? What are your predictions? Maybe give even your score predictions down below as well in the chat. I have to admire the way the Jags played against us too, as much as it frustrates me. And Kyle and I were there, by the way. It was amazing. Again, I cannot say enough about Thunder Alley. It was so much fun. Everyone was so accommodating. And just the food was amazing. It was amazing, guys. If you have a chance, go to Thunder Alley. I will never go to a football game ever again and not go to even the competing team tailgate. I promise you, people are going to be nice to you there. And maybe not the Raiders.
Everyone's in a good mood at the tailgate. I feel like
100%,
especially before the game. After the game, different story.
It depends on how your team plays. But guys, it was so amazing. Just go to Thunder Alley. It was so good, and good to see you, Anthony, as well too. Good to see you, Jack, as well. I know people are rolling in, but look, I like what the Jags did. right? They made it very simple. And it's really awkward to me also that the Jags had 0 injuries going into that game as well, too. But they did a lot of dink and dunks. Trevor Lawrence only had 2 passes downfield that were over 20 yards. 2 passes the entire game, 75 plays. So it was just dink and dunk, and they just chopped this up. That's why I did that video, Death by 1,000 Cuts, because that's exactly what it was. They just chopped this up.
Right.
So
right.
I kind of want to go back to something like that, screenplays, just real basic little flare outs. Get the ball out of Justin Herbert's hand fast and quick. Get Austin Eckler in the flat. He can get yards after the catch. Same with Sony Michel. Right. I also would love to see a lot of 2 running back sets, because I really feel like, again, when you have 2 running backs in the backfield, they go this way. Guys, usually there's only 1 linebacker covering the running back. And so, okay, which one am I going to go after? And, if you're playing man coverage, that could break for a big play. So I'm really thinking, my point is, guys, if we are not creative offensively this week, I think I'll say Lombardi's job is definitely in jeopardy at this point. I just really feel like he's on the hot seat. And he got fired in Detroit for not doing a good job playing calls.
Yeah,
so
after 2 seasons. Well, actually, technically 1.5 seasons. Yeah.
100%.
So, and it's exactly. Similar start, like he just very vanilla, just pass with, very easy to read plays. Like they just know, okay, this is a pass. Okay, this is a pass. This is a pass. It's like, it's funny, actually. I talked about this in my Madden sim where I was like, look, we need to have 2-1 and 2-2 personnel setups out there, like I formation, those 2 running back situations. And like in order to actually switch it up a little bit, because I haven't seen any of those. It's always just been like, like 1-2, 1-1 personnel, like we're like single back formation. Okay, what's gonna happen? Oh, it's more likely gonna be a pass. So let's do it.
Yeah. Yep.
And as I said that in the simulation, they ran a 2 personnel thing and it rushed for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But it was Horvath though, not Eckler. So I'm like,
no,
Horvath, what the heck is this? So and I'm like, dude, we got to just set that. Oh man, I'm having connection issues here.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
you're good now.
Yeah. So yeah, we just got to get this thing set up differently. Like it's just always the same things all the time.
Well, so I understand the concept of running it up the gut. And the reason why that makes sense is if you're running it up the gut, no matter what, you're going to get 4 or 5 yards. Typically, statistically speaking, that's typically what happens, because you're just powering it right up the middle. But the problem is we're fast. And what the Jaguars did a really good job of is they were on the edge, and they were dinking and dunking on the edge. But notice who had to sack those folks on the edge. That was our cornerbacks. Our cornerbacks got beat up that game, guys. And so, look, long term, you're going to just keep smash mouth playing people like that. Well, that's just going to soften up the pass. And they just, like I said, death by 1,000 cuts. So anyways, we beat a dead horse. I want to see some really interesting things happen in the offensive side of the ball. So anyways, let's go to some top performers real quick, and then we'll go to defense. Justin Herbert, 910 yards, 7 touchdowns. Guys, he's a freaking gangster, dude. We are so lucky to have a quarterback like him. And okay, and this is sad. Guess who our top performing rusher is this year? Austin Eckler. Guess how many yards he has? 80 yards in 3 games. 80 yards, guys. That is abysmal. Okay, if he doesn't have a 100-yard rushing game today, I will be supremely disappointed. I really will be. Rushing touchdowns, absolutely 0. I want to see at least 2 rushing touchdowns. Receiving yards, Gerald Everett, 150. DeAndre Carter, exactly the same, 150. Receptions, and here's the thing. We have used Austin Eckler more as a wide receiver rather than a running back, in my opinion, which I think is really interesting. Xander Horvath, 2 touchdowns. Mike Williams with 2 touchdowns. So, look, nothing super exciting there, guys. I mean, Herbert's carrying the team. And, with his injury, we need our damn running game. So if we don't at least get 100 yards rushing, it's going to be a problem. Let's look at some of the performers. Let's listen to Davis Mills. We don't need to worry too much about Davis Mills. I'll go through these really quick. Damien Pierce is the guy we got to watch out for running back wise. He's almost got 200 yards. Davis Mills, I do not respect him. I don't think he's that good a quarterback. I think we'll smoke him. Brandon Cooks, it's really Damien Pierce. And I'll say this. even their tight end is not that great. OJ Howard, I'm not going to worry about him a whole lot. Guys, if we play sound, we just shut the run game down, make Davis Mills have to beat us, we're going to get some picks. I'm excited. I think we'll do fine. So let's talk about the defense real quick. Yards allowed per game. See, and this is not good, guys. Now, and again, last game was pretty horrible for the Chargers. 350 yards allowed per game.
Oh,
that's brutal, guys.
Yeah, that's way too many.
350 yards. 350 yards, guys. That's just brutal.
Yeah.
And UFC Jaguar, hey man, kudos. And seriously, thank you so much for hopping on and also talking about the Jag last week. Hey, you guys played a great game. We were actually talking about you guys earlier. Very impressed with the offensive scheme you guys are running. I'd love to see the Chargers adopt a little more of that as well, too. It really feels like more of a college spread offense. But defensively, 28 points a game. Obviously, the Jags scored, 39 against us. Passing yards allowed, 248. Rushing yards, 102. That's probably a little better than expected at this point. So, but Texans defense, and then we'll pause. Total yards allowed per game, 410 yards allowed per game. Well, at least we're better than the Texans.
Yeah.
Points allowed per game.
Oh, man.
20. Rushing yards allowed per game, 207. And rushing yards allowed per game, 202. So look, guys, on paper, we should play great. Okay. But we just have not executed, right? So what are your thoughts there, Kyle?
Yeah, man. On paper, we're definitely better than the Texans. And I think right now we're actually favored to win by a touchdown, I believe. We're at -7 or something. So 7.5, I guess. I don't know, man. I mean, look, at the start of the season, we were on paper the best looking team in the NFL as well. Next to the Bills. But look what that's got us right now. So, but actually, Aether did have a question here, but I'll say though too is look, paper is one thing. We got to prove it on the field. I'm definitely joining that. Let's prove it camp before we start, talking the smack. It's why I kind of It's it makes way more sense for that kind of thing.
So one other thought I had about that too, with Bosa out, guess what?
Yeah.
And Aether, you brought this up in the preseason. Khalil Mack's going to be double teamed the entire game, 100%. They're not going to respect Rumph, and so we'll probably see Kyle Van Noy quite a bit on the field this week as well too. I think he'll probably line up in linebacker position or maybe edge or some sort of hybrid type thing. But he will be a pass rusher heavily. That's one thing that he talked about a few times, that he wants to rush the passer. He's got the opportunity now. He can prove it. He was throwing some statistics out there that he was like, I think he's averaging 13% of pressures on quarterbacks every time he rushes the passer, which is very good. I mean, that's up there with almost some of the best pass rushers in the league. So there's a lot to be said about that. So I think he's going to be doing a lot. He'll be doing a lot of heavy pressures against Davis Mills. So I'm excited to see that happen. And I want to see a bounce back game from JC Jackson. I know he was not happy playing the Chiefs. Apparently there was some sort of nasty tweet that he came out saying that he was forced to play. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out this week. So anyhow, who are you going to be looking forward to watch on our defensive side of the ball, Kyle?
Honestly, I'm still excited to see. Well, definitely excited to see JC Jackson out there finally and actually willing and able to play for the first time, because obviously the KC game he didn't really feel up to the task, but he had to suit up anyways because of whatever reason. But I'm always excited to see Asante Samuel Jackson out there, man. He's been having a year right now. He's been balling out, and I really and I'm so pissed off that they took away that freaking interception for the KC game.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, he's gonna have another one this game for sure, I believe. So and I'm gonna say it's gonna be a pick six this time. So it's gonna be really good. I think this. I'm excited for that. I'm always excited to see him play. That also too, I am actually excited to see Chris Rumph out there as edge. Me too. I feel like because Khalil Mack is going to get double teamed so much, I feel like they're going to leave him open and they're going to sleep on him, and that's going to be a mistake because he can ball too. Like, I mean, he's definitely he's an asparagus stock these days, but he's
he's
not a bean sprout
anymore.
Yeah. I mean, compared to Joey Bosa, he's like what, 6'7", 280 pounds. I mean, like, look, you gotta get some meat on them bones to compete with Bosa, So
Bosa's a big dude.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Texans defense, just some of their top performers, because it goes into a little bit about what we're going to see this week personnel wise with the Chargers. So Jerry Hughes, he's the edge rusher that we're nervous about. Now, guys, he's going to be going up against Jamari Salyer on left side. That concerns me. That's an exciting matchup. Mm-hmm. And I know Aether, I think I hopped on for a brief second after I won my tournament championship men's league when you were doing your simulation there, Kyle. Yeah. But I'm predicting 4 pressures on Herbert from Hughes, and I'm really hoping it stays right around there. Because that's going to be a big matchup. One guy that I'm also a little nervous about is the rookie safety, Jalen Petrie from Baylor. That guy's playing great. He's gotten a couple fumble recoveries. He's done a really good job. He actually plays a lot like Derwin James. And he does a lot of running, a lot of blitzing on the line. So I'm really curious to see how he plays. And he's already got 2 interceptions on the year. So, and then Desmond King has done fairly well. We all know him. He played on our team for quite some time. So, next Charger, but those are some folks I'm really excited to see. And I'm really excited to see how it plays out this week. So what else are you looking for this week too, Kyle?
Oh, well, apparently Carlos just said that Bandy just got elevated finally. So now I'm excited to see. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I should know that. Hell yeah. Hold on. Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. So here, let's take a look at this. Nice. And guys, put in your predictions on the score of this game as well too, guys. I would like to see what you guys think, because it's going to be one of those interesting situations. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. And the thing that's interesting about Michael Bandy, yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
I'm excited about that for sure.
The thing about Bandy is, I mean, he was such a favorite for the preseason. I mean, everyone just loved him. Oh, there we go, Kyle. Here we go. Yeah, so that's exciting. There we go. And guys, just so you know, Kyle's laptop broke this morning. He's on a completely different laptop. So and we've got that connection today too. So it's been pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's always a little shaky with us, like we're always just
interesting. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Just like the Chargers, we're always just trying to make it interesting, just kind of barely getting into the so no, I just had the battery was dying on this one, so I had to get the thing plugged in. So let me give my prediction on Bandy, guys. I think the big reason why we brought in Bandy, in fact, I'm looking at this. They're not talking about this specifically, and I'm going to look over this here. My prediction is I think he could be a very good third down target for Justin Herbert. If you recall during the preseason, Mike Bandy specifically kept saying, I want to learn how to become a wide receiver like Keenan Allen. And the thing about Keenan Allen, he's very good at third down. Very good at third down. And I'm a big believer that with Bandy, at least, he's one of those guys that finds a hole in the zone and he'll just sit and move the sticks. I thought Palmer was going to do that week 2 and also week 3. He has not done it. In fact, I've been a little disappointed with Palmer. I mean, I kind of expected him to be a lot better, and he's just not been great. So I'm very curious to see what Bandy does moving forward. But think about him. You got Bandy, you got DC out there, and Mike Williams. You got 3 little scat backs, basically. DC, and then you maybe Austin Eckler back there. That's a lot of people you got to cover. And Bandy's elusive. He's very elusive. He's very quick, kind of freakishly fast. So I'm excited. Yeah,
great call on that, Carlos. Appreciate you telling us that, though. Very cool. Very cool.
I'm just really excited too, because we really need to get one of those yards after catch guys, like James keeps talking about, and I'm hoping that Bandy is that guy, because it seems like he's a lot like Cooper Kupp in my opinion, but also Rex Burkhead a little, like a combination.
Wes Welker.
Somewhere
Wes Welker too.
Welker, 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 yeah. So it's I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens here with him out there now. So that's good, and he's exactly what we've been wanting and stuff, because he's like, look, Keenan Allen's not in. We have a guy already who knows the system. We're stoked on this for sure.
Yeah, and we brought in Moore as well. Moore should be active for this game also, but it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. I really hope we see Bandy out there a little bit, so I'm excited to see. Guys, this is an exciting game. And again, we said this on our live, and I said this also. I'm excited we're playing the Texans right now. You guys know what a slump buster is? You guys know what a slump buster is?
Yeah,
In the dating world, y'all know what a slump buster is? You know, when you're having a hard time, it ain't working out.
This goes back into our Tinder conversation from
Wednesday.
Yeah.
From Wednesday. In fact, it was so funny. I was going to jump in and say that. Yeah. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, man, we really need to get our shit together. And you just need to make something happen. Swipe right, take what you can get. You get home and you do the no pants dance, right? And that's it. That's a slump buster. That's what we need to do against the Texans. We need to get our ass right. Yeah. Wait, what's that movie back in the days? How Stella got her groove back or whatever, right? Is that what it
was? Yeah.
Hey, we need to get our goddamn groove back, right? And I think the good news is we're playing the Texans, arguably one of the worst teams in the league. And I'm hoping to God, we get this slump buster going and we just make some progression. So anyway, that's my last thought. Let's go into Aether's question, guys. And so let's go through these questions and go there.
He had two questions already. Well, he just had one directly right now, but let's go back a little bit. He says,
and guys, by the way, throw out as many questions as you can. Just keep them coming.
Yeah, just keep throwing them out there. We're out here for a little bit though, It says, first question says, if coaches decide to go into three-step, I'll pull it up here. Three-step drop game plan early in the game, do we see Herbert accept it, or is he not going to do it? Yeah, I think he's definitely going to accept it. And if that's what coaches want to do, he's definitely going to make it happen. And he's going to do it the best of his ability. And I think that's actually probably the best plan for him.
Yeah.
Especially if they're going to have him throw the ball, he really needs to just be like, okay, get this ball out fast, go Tom Brady style, like 2 seconds at the most in my hands, let it fly, because he can't be holding on to that ball for very long, because the freaking Hughes is going to get through a little bit. And I do think that Salyer is going to give up a sack. But I mean, I don't, and it's not going to be a failure either, like it's just going to be his growing pains. That's all I know.
Yeah. And Herbert's going to have to use his legs, and I think he's going to have to use his legs for a while. This line is not playing great now. So Ethan, I'm going to answer your question in a couple of different ways. One, just so you know, three-step drop usually means timing patterns, right? You're talking about a 5 out, in the flat, goes up, moves out, moves the sticks. Those are very, very solid timing patterns. And now, talking about Bandy being called up, I would argue probably the biggest reason why he hasn't been called up so far is because he hasn't had a lot of time with Justin Herbert. And especially with Herbert's injuries, he's not out there throwing and working in these timing routes. In the modern day NFL, you got to have that down. And I don't think they have that cohesive nature yet with Bandy. And so it's probably one of the bigger reasons why they haven't brought him up earlier. Now, obviously, the injury with Keenan Allen makes it a good option for us. Secondarily, I think the three-step drop is smart because we don't want Herbert getting hit. We do not know how it's going to work out with Jamari Salyer on the left side. And by the way, Trey Pipkins gave up, I think, 8 pressures last week as well, too. So he didn't have a great game either, right? So his edges are going to be bad. So my other thought on that, and I talked about this, I believe it was the last video I did on coaching. My prediction is we do a lot of 2 tight end sets, and we have a lot of those tight ends chipping those edge rushers. If that does happen, what you'll probably see is some stunts. The edge rushers will stunt on the inside, and the defensive tackles will start going to the outside edge when they're going for pass heavy. So I think there's a lot of ways they could play it. Personally, I'm a big fan of having the 2 tight end sets, and just even if you're just chipping, Jerry, you just bump him. Justin Herbert doesn't need a lot of time, and the thing is, he's so elusive. If you saw him last week, man, he was pressured a lot, and I really feel like he does a good job of climbing the pocket, still throwing the ball downfield, and making plays. So that's kind of a long-winded question. The answer is yes. But I also think there's going to be some times that he'll probably try and throw downfield, right? So,
Right.
but I think they'll pick their poison on that because it's really going to boil down to how much pressure he's seeing in his face. So there you go, Aether. Very long-winded question to your or answer to your question.
Yeah. So Aether, he actually had a really good comment here too. So let's just kind of go into
Okay,
that one here.
let's highlight that.
It says, "This is what I have to say though. Going into this game, Coach Staley is it a must-win game to be the leader and great coach, demanding two things on offense: run the ball early and often. Tell Houston that you can't stop it." So,
Well
actually,
said.
well said, very well said. Because yeah, like I mean, like I said, we need to uh establish that run game early. Like because
Yep.
and they've already proven that they can't stop the run, and so we need to actually just start walking all over them. And this is a perfect opportunity, as Jack even said too, that we just need to actually get this thing going with with that run game because we don't want Herbert to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and again, the Texans would love to have an ugly game, an ugly
yeah,
ass game. You know,
sure,
10-10 at the half. You
yeah,
know, in second half, guys, we played horrible so far, right? We need to jump
right,
all over them, right?
yeah,
I mean, we literally need to donkey punch these fools right out of the gate. Now, okay, so let's look at some statistics. I'm looking at ESPN. Dude,
yeah.
we are dead last, 59 yards rushing per game in 3 games. Guys, that is god awful.
That's
Now,
abysmal. We had
it's
12
horrible.
rushing attempts last game.
Yeah, horrible. Now we got down. We got down. You know,
Yeah,
the Jags, UFC Jags, they freaking just smoked us.
yeah,
And we had to throw the ball. But the only other team that's worse than us is the Dolphins, which is really interesting. They only got 69. But Tua being out, who knows when he's coming back. Now, having said that, again, we got a gunslinger. Justin Herbert, 300 yards a
yeah,
game. The only one's better is Josh
yes,
Allen,
sir.
329 yards a game.
Yeah,
So, I mean, look, we got to get that running game going, guys, right? And
yeah,
again, it's going to be very interesting to see how it works with Jamari. I mean, I'll make another prediction, guys, and I talked about this on my O-line video. I do think we are going to sign an offensive lineman. We're going to sign an Eric Fisher. We're going to sign a Darrell Williams. We're going to sign somebody. I don't believe they're just going to go with Sawyer 100%, especially with the amount of attrition we've had this season so far. But again, this is a great game for him to get his feet wet and see what he can do because next week, guess what? We're going up against Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett potentially. So, guys, that's a tall order. So,
yeah,
again, they're protecting Justin Herbert. They know we're throwing the ball because we can't run the ball worth a damn. And, it's going to be huge, man. I mean, it's a big situation. Yeah, right now where we sit in the league, yeah, we're dead in the middle in the league in points per game. So, we
yeah.
got to get our shit together in offense. So, anyhow. All
Absolutely,
right, next question here,
absolutely.
Kyle.
That's all I really had there so far. I haven't the questions haven't been really coming in too much, But I was gonna say this though too. So, read an article this morning from the LA Times, and they were talking about
Okay.
he had actually interviewed several people on the team, especially like Drew Tranquil,
Yeah.
and he was like they were talking a little bit about last year's game with the Texans.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, "Hey, do you have any thoughts about those that game from last year going into this game?" And he said, "Oh yeah, that sticks around. Like they're definitely thinking about that, and they remember, and they're taking notes. Got the notes down.
They're taking notes.
Taking
They're
names.
taking
You know what
notes.
I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. And so they want to perform for legit this game for sure. Number one, and then number two, they talked a lot about how the fact that we are 1-2 right now, and
Yeah.
Corey Linsley actually said that they did have a game when he was at a year when he was at Green Bay, and they went 1-2, but then they won the next 9 of the next 10 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the same thing happened with the Rams. Like they went like freaking like 2-4 one season, and then they came back and rallied it and stuff like that. I don't know if that was their Super Bowl year, but look, I know that the Chargers community is out there for blood right now, and because obviously, like, there was so much hype about this team going into the season from the off season, because of all the changes that we've made and all the players that we've made. It is not the end of the world yet. If, however, God forbid that we are 1-8 in the bye week, I think the Bolt Bros are probably going to be quiet for the rest of the season at that point.
No, we still got to talk. No, we're still going to talk.
We still got to talk.
But the wheels are falling off the track for sure, dude.
The wheels.
Yeah.
Was there even wheels to begin with? It's like,
exactly. Well, no, and again, what do you guys think? I want to hear your discussions on this. Again, I did a lot of videos this week. There was a lot of things I wanted to rant on, and I think the coaching issues are really directly put on Joe Lombardi at this point. I think it's Joe Lombardi's major problem. And to be fair, if we fired him, which again, I never want to see people get let go, because Joe Lombardi, I'm sure, is a good offensive coordinator. He seems like a good guy, but at the end of the day, he's becoming extremely predictable. And I've talked about this so many times. When I, as a casual viewer, as just a fan of the sport, can literally call his play, I promise you the defense knows what they're doing. And they're playing against us, right? And so he needs to do something different. Start with some sweeps. Start with some bubble screens. Start with just something we're not doing. Movement to the right. I'm not seeing a lot of movement to the right or the left either with the line. There's just a lot of it. I feel like this is a better way of saying it. I'm going to say it this way, guys, and agree or disagree with me on this. Offensively, we're playing like it's still the preseason. And here's what I mean by that. Preseason, typically, you're playing very base offense. You're playing, halfback dive left, halfback dive right. Very basic plays, right? You're not doing a whole lot. A whole lot of trickery or anything like that. But I feel like that's how the play calling has still been. And it's like, dude, we're in the regular season. Let's start making some goddamn plays. And he's just not doing it, and that's his problem. Now, if I was him, and I'll tell you right now, if I was him, I would be opening up the playbook and I would be doing absolutely everything. Short plays, I love the idea of 2 running back sets, especially when you got Sony Michel and Austin Eckler out there, and then you could put Kelly and Spiller, apparently he's still the 4th running back and probably not going to play because he hasn't beat out any of those other running backs. So, and we got Xander Horvath. Use him differently too, right? And I don't know. Exactly. I feel like we've become way too predictable. So it's a bit of a rant there. So guys,
no, that's exactly. Ryan actually had a pretty good comment back about my my thoughts about Salyer right there.
Okay, yeah, highlight that. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I think Salyer will give up pressures, but he will mostly be a bend but not break player on pass protection. If he gives up 1 sack, I'll take that, but I predict no sacks given up by him. And I think he really could give up no sacks as and be a complete wall over there, But yeah, I'm just said, I'm kind of prepared for at least 1 sack for sure, because the problem is he had 1 week to prepare for NFL speed. Yes, college he was lights out. 2020. Since 2020, he has not given up a single sack. So, and that's great. No, I didn't mean to press that one. So, but yeah, but the NFL is a whole different pace and stuff like that. So I just, I don't know, man. But I don't know. What are your thoughts about that, Andrew?
Yeah. So look, and I said this in the preseason. I know everyone was talking about, JT Woods, right? We haven't seen him on the field a whole lot, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh!" I think JT Wood. I believe the only time he comes in is when we go with dime package. So we go 6 deep. So we haven't played a lot of dime. We've been playing mostly nickel 4-2, kind of a 4-2 hybrid is what we've been pretty much playing most of the season. It's really a 5-1. But anyways, neither here nor there. But my point is, it is very difficult to have a rookie step in and make a splash. That's what was so amazing about Rashawn Slater last season, right? Guys, That is not the norm. And understand that Salyer, look, he was the best defensive or offensive lineman for Georgia, but there were some intangibles that he didn't have, and that's why he fell so far down the draft. Gosh, what was he again? I'm just drawing a blank. Was he 5th or 6th round?
I think it was
Jamari
round.
So,
yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
So and my point in saying this, guys, is we should temper our expectations on what he could do, because guys, it is difficult. It is difficult to step in, and guys, like, I get it. We want him to do well, but oh my gosh, 195th pick. So what was that?
195th overall. Shit.
Yeah, overall. And again,
you know,
guys,
but I mean, the upside is too, though. You know, like, I mean, that's also a good thing about it, is that put a huge chip on his shoulder.
Big time.
And
he talked about that quite a bit.
Like,
yep. 100%.
Yeah, he's like, man, I got passed on by all those teams. Like, 195 people behind him or in front of him. He's gonna prove them. Yeah.
Well,
he hungry. He'll show you.
He hungry. He want to eat.
Yeah.
You know who another guy was that way? Keenan Allen. If you recall, when he was drafted, he was drafted in the 3rd round, guys. I'll give you a little history. This is how much we're big nerds for the Chargers here. Keenan Allen, when he was drafted, he was actually going to be very high, easily 1st round. But the problem was he was hurt going into the draft. So he could not perform. He couldn't run, couldn't do anything. He dropped all the way to the 3rd round. That's when the Chargers picked him up. And I remember when he got drafted, he's like, I'm gonna go out there and make it happen. And he did it. And so, can he do it? Yes. Now, the reason why people drop, I'll give you a little insight. The reason why people drop down the draft boards, especially when they've done well in college, is not that people don't think they can't do it. There's obviously intangibles that everyone has, right? This guy's a good blocker. He's got a good base. He does whatever he needs to do. The problem is that are they game ready week 1? That's what a lot of people ask the question. Can this guy start week 1? Why do you think Zion Johnson was picked when we picked him? He was ready week 1, and he's done a fantastic job for the Chargers. And by the way, guys, he's still going to get better. I wanted to do a video kind of breaking down some of his plays. Oh my God, dude, that guy has got the strongest base. He is just a beast of a man. Now, another interesting fact, Zion Johnson was the strongest man in the draft. You know who the 2nd strongest man in the draft was?
Jamari Salyer, baby.
Jamari Salyer, absolutely. And they did bench press. So we got the 2 strongest people in the draft, and they're on our offensive line. So I know it's a little trivia tidbit, but it's exciting. I'm excited to see what he does. So, but again, like I said,
it's all about them thighs and buys, baby.
Thighs and buys, baby. Butt and gut, all that. No, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, exactly.
We had 2 questions rolling if you wanted to go over that.
Yeah, let's go to that.
Brian Sutter had 2 there. He says, first of all, here we go. What Charger receivers have the best possible 1-to-1 matchups today? Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me look at the PFF here on like the lineups there, the roster.
Yeah, go and look at that. I'm going to give you my just general thought. So one of the things I will say too, Mike Williams, I think he'll have a big game today. I think he's going to be the big target for the most part. I really do think so. Largely because the main cornerback that they're going to have, I think he might be out. Let me just double check real quick. Let's see. The cornerback. No. So right now, no, where's their defense? Here we go. King is their quarterback. Now, I think if we go up against Desmond, by the way, I love Desmond King, but he's getting a little older, and I do think Mike Williams burns him. Desmond King is good, not great. Now, the other guy, like I said, I've already discussed, I'm a little nervous to see what's going to happen with Jalen Petrie. I think he's a very good safety, very good young safety from Baylor. He'll look really good out. So watch both of those guys, in my opinion, obviously Jerry Hughes. Having said that, I think DeAndre Carter and whoever our third wide receiver can have big games as well, too, because they're going to be going down their list of depth corners. And quite frankly, beyond Desmond King, I don't really see anybody out there that can really stop either one of those guys. So I think they can have big games, whether it's Bandy, which I don't, guys, let's temper expectations. I don't suspect Bandy's going to play a whole lot today. But the one guy that I would say will probably have a big game also, and it's not a receiver, it's our tight end. I think Gerald Everett has a big game today as well. I think he will do very well. And the reason I'm going to say that is because I do think we're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and Gerald Everett will be more out there as a wide receiver more than an actual tight end for blocking. So I say Mike Williams, Gerald Everett to have big games. I just don't think they can cover those 2 guys well. You might see Jalen Petrie do a little man-up coverage with Gerald Everett when he's out there. But if there's 2 tight ends out there, hey, you can't cover both of them at the same time. So that'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Right.
But Everett, I think, will do well, and I think DC will do fine as well too. So
right. So according to PFF on the lineups right now, we got Williams against Nelson, and that's a pretty favorable. That's a pretty balanced actual receiver cornerback lineup right there. But then of course he has the free safety on that side as well. So I mean that could work out really well. But then on the other side we have Palmer up against Stingley Jr. And that one actually is a little bit more mismatched, and so I think that one actually could be the more favorable side for it. But then Everett, he's going to be playing up against more like the linebackers a lot more, and that's actually pretty vulnerable as well. I mean, Cashman is pretty good one out there, but Gruger Hill is one of their guys that's in their base defense that he's not been too good at all. He's like actually one of the bottom 3 linebackers statistically so far. So yeah, you're right. So Everett could be eating a lot this week, and that's good.
I think that's a big game. I really do. And I want him to use. I want them to use him as like jet sweeps, maybe some bubble screens, something a little bit unusual, something different. I'm gonna give you a pro tip on that too, Kyle. You talked about wait, who is going to cover Mike Williams on that again?
Mike Williams shows Nelson.
Okay. Just so you know, typically when you have a number 1, this is what Bill Belichick always does. They usually put their number 2 corner on their number 1 wide receiver. Then you have a safety spy them up top, typically.
Yeah.
And right now, the NFL, most people are running 2 high shell, just like Brandon Staley runs, right? Or two safeties deep, however you want to call it, 2 shell, 2 high, whatever. It's the same stuff. So typically in this situation, then you'll put your number 1 corner more man on the number 2 wide receiver. Then it goes down to the number 3 wide receiver. So that's typically how it plays out. And that's how Bill Belichick does it. And I think a lot of the league has kind of copied that, quite frankly. And then I know, Ryan, his second question, I believe, is that the one you're talking about? Do the Texans play more zone or man? Now,
got that right there.
Yeah, so that kind of falls into my next point. Typically, most defenses in the NFL run around 50% man, or excuse me, zone, 50 to 6% zone. The Texans, I do believe, play a lot more zone than they do man, largely because they don't have the personnel from what I've seen. And the argument zone is that you're sort of bend, not break, and keep everything in front of you, everything in front of you. You play quarters but they typically run more zone from what I can tell, especially with their young defense. But they might try and play man with us a little bit here and there, but I don't suspect they'll play more zone than man against us specifically is what, at least what I'm predicting. So,
their base defensive package is definitely a 4-3. So I don't know if is that more of a zone heavy or a man-to-man heavy kind of offensive scheme.
Well, it depends. If they run 2 high shell, then it probably would be more zone heavy, right? Where they play quarters. Quarters is more zone for sure, right? So, I would suspect more zone. Yeah, and again, so I'll give you a little defensive scheme as well too. In the modern day NFL, typically what people are doing, this is why Brandon Staley's defense is so unusual. He usually stacks 5 men in the box. So when you say a 4-2, usually you have 1 linebacker. Obviously that's 6 men in the box, but 1 drops to coverage. Most modern day NFLs go +6. You have 5 offensive linemen, and then you have 1 extra guy to stop the run. That's the whole point. 1 guy is there to just knock the running back down. And it's a variation, right? They always run variations of this, right? They show up, maybe drop back, Bosa goes out. They obviously mix things up because you don't want to become too predictable. But they do that, and Brandon Staley's whole idea is to pressure down and have the two safeties high to protect the deep pass. And that does make sense, right? So there's kind of the safety valve. Now, with Derwin James crashing or rushing on the edges, that becomes a little unusual and interesting. So because it leaves only one high safety, right? Because he's being brought down in the box because of it's a run play or whatnot. So it'll be very interesting to see how we play them specifically. And I'd love to see how much pressure we put into Davis Mills' face this week. I do think, man, I want to see us get some damn hits on him, dude. And I'm not saying that because I want to see him hurt, but I want to see our freaking defense step up. I feel like we're playing very uninspired. And by the way, I do have to give one big kudos. Sebastian Joseph Day never gave up last week. He never gave up. And he was the one that called the team meeting. And he said, hey, guys, let's get our ass out in gear and go. And so I'm so excited to see him play this week. I think he might get even a sack this week, which would be amazing. So, anyways, another rant. Sorry about that. Hopefully I answer your question, Ryan. If you want me to rephrase something or ask it again, please do.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I think that's pretty good for right now, though. I mean, we gotta put out James's video and get him out there, get his thoughts out there a little bit. So
yeah, agreed. And guys, maybe highlight Aether's last thoughts here.
Sure.
I have a great feeling the Chargers will play their best tomorrow. We get a W, build momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Aether, I hope so. Again, I'm calling this the slump buster. Maybe we should title that James's video. We'll call it the slump buster. I'm not joking.
Like
the Tinder slump buster. No, I mean, look, guys.
Well, let's not do that yet. If we win, then it's definitely the slump buster. So yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
We'll do that the post game. We'll do that post game.
Yeah. That's for the post game one. Yeah.
Or if we lose, and God help us, please, we don't lose. We'll call it the bottle of bleach episode. Go.
It'll be the Chargers score a slump buster. Yeah.
Score a slump buster. There we go. Oh my God, guys! No, but look, Aether, you're right. And again, I could talk about this forever. And I saw so many videos criticizing not just the Chargers, by the way, NFL teams that did not play any of their starters in the preseason. And they're having issues with health issues right now because they're not playing game time. They're not. And again, I don't know if you also know this too. There's even more rules around contact during practice, all this stuff. These bodies, look, they're built to be hit. The one team, actually, I would like to see this guy. I remember Hard Knocks talking about this specifically. I guess it was the Detroit Lions, and I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine about a month ago. I'm remembering this conversation now. Their head coach liked the idea of taking a lot of hits up front because it's getting your body ready for game day. And I would almost argue that's probably why we're having some issues now is we have not been taking those hits and our bodies are not prepped correctly moving forward. That's why these injuries are starting to stack up against the Chargers. So, look, hindsight's always 20/20. I know the conversation is we want our team to be ready and play our best football at the end of the season. And our schedule is favorable for that, guys, right? We could literally go undefeated into the bye. In fact, I think we should. On paper, we should. But are we going to do it? That's the other part of the question, right? We've got to get ourselves back in gear, and man, and Aether, I agree with you. I think we got a good shot to win this game. If we lose, then I think there's some serious concerns, right? The knives would be out for the watch, for the bolts. It'll be pretty for the bolts. Anyways, guys. All right. Well, we are.
So Aether, we had Aether had two bold predictions that he wanted me to get out there for us. He said that he wanted us to get out there, and I think it's pretty good information too. And we got to make these bold predictions. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there you go. So first off, Austin Eckler is going to have 173 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and defensively, Morgan Fox and Kyle Van Noy are going to have a combined 3 sacks and 6 pressures. Chargers win
Oh,
by 31-17.
hell
I
yeah,
really
dude.
like that score prediction. It actually matched up with our Madden simulation as well. However, Eckler did not have 173 yards rushing. He had 59 in the simulation. So they were trying to be real life in that simulation. So I was like, man, what is this
Man,
Madden BS?
Eckler getting no kind of love today. Eckler getting no kind of
Yep.
love.
Yeah. So those are pretty good. I like these predictions, Aether, and I think that could very well happen. And I would like to say that would be a slump buster for sure. And three different situations right there. Austin Eckler being able to get over 100 yards in the season, and they get at least not one but 3 touchdowns. That'd be a big one. And then of course Morgan Fox and Kyle Van Noy getting some sacks. Those are some slump busters right there. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yep. And highlight Brandon's last question here. Brandon Mitchell.
We had one right before that
Okay.
with Ryan Sutter, a second one there. And I think actually this one actually just answered it a little bit too here. Thank you guys for the great information. What one back do you want to get the most run plays, and which back do you want to get the most pass plays? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's Eckler.
Interesting thought there. Yeah.
Eckler. We got to get his ass moving the right way. Feed him. Feed him.
He was such a clutch person about having our offense to be top 5 last year. It has to be Eckler. We got to get him moving in the right direction like that,
Yeah.
So I 100% agree.
On top of that as well too, Ryan, like the problem is offensively we're not playing great, and there are so many plays that he does so much better than everyone else. The great example is that pick that we got throwing the ball to Sony Michel. If we had that ball thrown to Austin Eckler, he catches that ball 100 times out of 100.
Yep.
Well, or 99 times out of 100. And it was a pick. And so, Sony could catch it, but come on now. Like at the end of the day, ride that horse that got you there. And I understand the concept, and we talked about this earlier, Ryan. You want to keep him healthy for the playoffs, but good God, guys, we got to get to the playoffs before we can start having that conversation.
Yeah.
And we're not playing like a playoff team right now. I mean, we're playing like dog shit. It's terrible. It's frustrating. Line is horrible. Offensive line, it's not good. So,
and then Brandon, you said right here, right? Yeah. Final thoughts is basically,
I agree, dude.
If we lose this game, Lombardi's got to go, hands down. I mean, yeah. If it's not going to be immediately after this game, like Aether even said too, is like if we lose this game, he's fired on Monday. So,
yeah. My other thought would be on this, and again, this is a business, and I talked a little bit about this in my coaching video. Yeah, guys, I felt like the offensive line video was pretty good, and the coaching video I think is pretty good, just because I think you got to understand. Let me take a step back. Us Bolt Bros, we've been Charger fans for years, and what's one of my biggest frustrations is that we don't pay for our players. We let players walk, and we don't keep people here. That changed this year, and that largely changed because of, guess what? Brandon Staley. He got the Spanos family on board. All right, man, you want to win, we need to bring in the right people. He got his entire checklist of wants. He sat on Santa's lap and said, this is what I want. I want Khalil Mack. I want J.C. Jackson. I'm not joking. I mean, think about it. He's literally sitting on Santa's lap. I want Khalil Mack, Kyle Van Noy, J.C. Jackson. He got everything he wanted to fix that. And guess what? We're dog shit, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is the Spanos family does not want to spend money. They won't want to spend money if we're losing, because you're not getting butts in seats. You're not making playoffs. You're not doing what you need to do. Brandon Staley sat on Santa's lap. Now, guess what? He's going to get slit from behind if we don't start winning games, soundly, and at least make the playoffs this year. And so, and you're right, Carlos, we got the dream team, dude, but we sure haven't proven it, right? And I think there's more arguments to be made, though, that offensively, it would be Lombardi's more the hot seat because we were so good last year offensively. To have a drop off that bad this season, that's a coaching problem. That's 100% coaching problem. And I think defensively we'll step up and be better. I just think they haven't completely gelled yet. So again, another rant. Sorry, guys. Santa's lap.
No, it's
Maybe
all
that's
good.
maybe that's the next T-shirt we should do. Brandon Staley sitting on there
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Santa's lap. Mac Bosa, Kyle Van
Yeah,
Noy.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's a good one. That's a good one. I
That's
like
a really.
that.
I was right there with you on that one. Yeah, I was thinking about it. By the way, guys, we actually do have some new shirts out. Actually, like we
Yes.
put them on the. They're in the Zazzle link down below.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
You can check them out. Actually, there's a couple just like funny ones. Like we have just the bolt up, don't punt so far, and then we had this one that we thought we've kind of done a couple times. That just said is "Let's go, Brandon Staley."
Yep. Let's go, Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
So that's it's pretty good stuff. In fact, I'm going to buy a couple of those shirts as well too, Kyle.
Right.
So we'll make sure we get that done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
cool.
Any other questions or any other thoughts here? I know we're a little over an hour now at this point.
I don't have anything else in here. I know the first 20 minutes is always a little like shaky trying to get things going or whatever, but it looks like we're pretty much wrapped up. I think that's pretty good. Well, immediately after this one, I'll release James's thoughts about the. Okay. I guess we do have one last question from Aether. I think that's it.
Okay.
So final thoughts, final question. That's it.
Last question, Aether. Let's get it.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, no worries, man. We good.
We'll keep it going.
We appreciate.
So while Aether's throwing out this question, I could talk a little bit about me winning the my men's league softball tournament. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
I'll walk through it really quickly, guys. So I play softball and pickleball fairly competitively. This is a pretty upper end men's league, and we were playing this team that was super cocky, and we're older. I mean, we're all plus 40, and so this team is just young, played college baseball, this and that. Anyways, long story short, going into the last inning, they score 8 runs against us. We are the away team. We had to at least tie them to go into extra innings. They're the home team. We score 4 runs, get bases loaded, 2 outs. My buddy Tua gets up, who played baseball for BYU in Oregon, hits a grand slam, ties the game. We go to extra innings. And again, they're the home team. They're the home team, guys. All they had to do was score 1 run. We walk their home run hitter, and they got a single. Guy goes to third. It was 1 out, bases loaded, pop up. So it's 2 outs, bases. I'm not joking. We were freaking out, guys. Then what happens? This guy drills it to third base, gets the ball, tags out third. We go to extra innings. And the good news about that is we were like, okay, guys, and it was amazing how quiet our team was. People were like, why are you guys quiet? I'm the type of person, when I get in a zone, I get focused. I get very focused and quiet because I go, okay, I know what I need to do. Let's get myself ready. Anyways, we hang 12 runs on them that inning. 12 runs. So we were at 32 points. 32 points. Again, this is slow pitch, a lot of hitting, a lot of offense.
Yeah.
And they couldn't come back. Then they only scored 4 more runs the next inning. So it was 20-20 going into that inning. They scored 4 more runs, but we won 32-24, won the championship. Awesome game. But the fact that we hit a grand slam to tie it, then got that 3 and out, oh my gosh, just absolutely incredible. So it was amazing. My co-ed finals is on Monday. I'll let you know what happens on that as well too. And then I have another finals about 3 weeks out, so I'll keep you guys posted on that too. So
very cool.
Anyways,
very cool.
So let's go to his last question, and then we'll end.
I hope we can get that on video, man. I know your other team was recording it, so maybe you can get
they recorded
footage,
the whole thing. Yeah, I'm hoping to get it. Yeah,
they might just delete it all right away. All right, Aether, and this is the last question.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So Aether just asked,
Thank you guys.
do you, if you're Staley, take some calls on offense? And yeah, I think so. I mean, you don't have a offensive coordinator to let them just to sit around and collect paychecks, So like, I mean, they're going to be the ones that are calls on the offense. And Staley, he's a more defensive minded, so he actually might be doing the defensive calls. But when it comes to the offense, I think he's definitely the one that's actually making he's getting calls from Lombardi on how to set things up and following his scheme and stuff like that. But I think I don't know exactly how it works, but I always have thought that Lombardi, the offensive coordinator, just kind of puts out a list of them, and then the head coach is like, yeah, we're going with this one here, this package or something like that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Andrew?
I talked about this once before. That so Lombardi, again, we talked about analytics. Analytics is, hey, they run a 4-3 defense. Great. This is what we need to run to beat 4-3 defense. They do that immediately. They pick out a handful of plays. Then secondarily, they say, okay, we need 5 yards. All right, what's my best 5-yard play? Play it. What's my best 10-yard play? Play it, right? And now, again, the biggest problem, well, let me take a step back. Do you know why Brandon Staley picked this offense? He knows the offense, right? Again, you got to remember, he was a quarterback, so he knows this offense the best. He specifically came out when he was hired and he said, I'm picking this offense because I know it the best. So, to your point, Aether, he could step in and call the plays. Now, will he? There's a lot of things he's got to figure out and coordinate on the field at any given moment, any given time, any given day, right? Clock management, all this stuff. So, my thought would be someone like a Shane Day or an assistant coach would probably be more the play caller, and then he would direct them. All right, let's run here. Let's pass here. Let's do this here. And he might not necessarily call the play, but he might say, all right, I want a 5-yard pass play, or I want a running play here to the edge, something of that nature. And then that offensive coordinator would pick the play out of that specific group or grouping of plays. So might not necessarily call the exact play, but he'll probably call what should happen for that play specifically. Is really the way I would see it, because again, he's still got to focus on defense. And Ronaldo Hill, look, I really think Staley's still for the most part calling the defensive plays, but I think Ronaldo Hill has some say in it here and there too. So anyhow, that would be my last thoughts.
Great. All righty, guys. Well,
okay, guys.
Thanks for joining us and chatting with us about the Texans. We're really looking forward to this game, So we hope that this is going to be our slump buster, So we'll make it happen. We swiped right enough, so.
Yeah.
So we got a good game coming up for us right now. It's going to be really cool. We'll do a little bit of talking about it. Maybe on Twitter and all that stuff, with you guys, and we'll record little videos on Instagram, whatever. We'll be doing a lot more things. Then after the game, we'll be chatting about it too. So hope to see you guys there as well. Yeah, man, take it easy. We have a good time.
Absolutely. As always, guys, see you in the next one. Bolt up.
Yeah. Let's go.